Go ahead.
We are now live. There we go. Well, look, I'm sitting here with George in his house with a beautiful Australian flag behind it. We're going to be talking about the election and a bit of a shakedown. I think we've had a couple of days to think about what's happened after the election. We're going to have a serious chat about who's really responsible for this and where do we go from here, because there's a lot of rhetoric from different politicians, particularly, say, people like Alex Antic, for example, who are saying we need to go harder to the right, support Trumpian policies, and other people saying, well, that's just insane. So we're going to have a no hold bars discussion on that, and I'm pretty worked up about it, to be honest with you. So we can actually see your comments, so if you can join in live, if you have questions, feel free to participate in that debate. George has got some, I think he's gone to ChatGPT and said, what are the trickiest questions that I can chuck at Henry to make him look like a dickhead? Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Fuck it.
As long as
Okay,
I
let's
say
do
any like racist stuff.
No racism or great. Okay. Just thanks for letting me know that.
Just in case some people don't know.
Just in case.
Looking forward to it, they wrote.
And so you can
can
ask
repeat
me
yourself-
questions. I'm going to be a bit controversial because I'm pretty damn critical of what some players actually did behind the scenes. Not necessarily we straight up know that the federal government, the way that they ran it, was pretty damn terrible, and the campaign. But I'm going to tell you exactly why it was terrible, and a lot of people aren't mentioning this. So let's go through it.
Okay, so some of the questions that I have prepared are here. So we'll start with the freedom versus lockdown. So a big quarrel with the Liberal Party is how they handle the lockdown. So I kind of just want to go through these are like kind of 7 things I've seen online most of the time.
Yeah, and some about lockdowns first of all. Yeah.
Yeah, so Menzies built the Liberal Party on individual liberty and limited government, yet during COVID, Australians were subjected to some of the harshest restrictions in the world, including a 262 days of lockdown in Melbourne. Under Scott Morrison, the federal government funded and enabled these state measures through national cabinet. How can the Liberal Party defend its legacy of freedom when it facilitated this scale of state control over people's lives?
Because quite frankly, and this is the biggest thing, right? And you've got major players in the Liberal Party who criticised Stephen Marshall's response to the lockdown. In Victoria, they had 262 days of lockdown. That was a Labor government. A Labor government put you into lockdown for 262 days. The generational trauma that will come from that lockdown, we probably won't see the end of it in our lifetime. Every single person who was subject to that lockdown will have scars from that lockdown, and there'll be huge mental cost to that. In South Australia, what was the time of the lockdown? It was like less than 2 weeks.
I think it's 7 days, wasn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. We didn't go into lockdown. And you know what the difference between Victoria and South Australia was? The type of government that was there. In South Australia, we had a Liberal government, Stephen Marshall, and in Victoria, you had a Labor government. Even in New South Wales, they had a 106-day lockdown, and they're major population centres, so the spread of COVID was different. And in New South Wales, about 106. It was like way less than half. Now, in America, right, Republican states locked down more than South Australia. And you don't sit there and criticise Trump and go, how could Trump let this happen? Republican states locked down like 5 times, 6 times more than the Liberal Party did here in South Australia. You know, the other state that locked down the least was Tasmania. They were Liberal controlled. Labor states locked down far more than the Liberal Party, and that's the choice. And so you sit here and go, oh, well, and we had senators, right? Senators, Alex Antic was criticising and attacked Stephen Marshall for his lockdowns and said how much he's reduced freedom and stuff like that. Now, look, whether the lockdowns were legitimate or not, whether COVID was legitimate or not, we can have that discussion, all right? But at the time, every single state, most countries in the world were approaching this in the same way. The whole world was doing this. And so at that time, who would you prefer to be under? A Labor government or a Liberal government? Now, we had senators, Alex Antic, criticising Stephen Marshall relentlessly on radio, criticising the length of time that South Australia was locked down, and didn't mention anything in the Labor Party of what happened in Victoria. He should have said very clearly, I don't agree with the lockdown. I don't agree that COVID should have this bigger response. However, I would much prefer to be in any day of the week in a Liberal state rather than a Labor state. He could have then criticised the lockdowns, sure. Criticize the approach, that's fair enough. And I think now we're seeing how dangerous those vaccines were and how much harm they've actually caused people. But if you were ever going to be in a state, it was going to be in a Liberal state. So I reject your thing to say that the Liberal Party didn't uphold values of freedom when the whole country and the whole world was doing this. It's even better than Republican states in America.
Yeah, we'll go into a little bit, but I guess what the arguments I'd hear back is leading Labour candidates, weren't they students of the WEF?
It's stupid. Like the WEF get, like, I don't care. Where would you prefer to be, in a Liberal state or a Labour state? And if you want the Labour Party to win, if you want the Greens to win, if you want more lockdowns, destabilise the Liberal Party.
Someone said, based on the mess Albo made of this country, Liberal should have won in the landslide. Labour did. Time at the party gets people actually in touch with what people can want and trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
The issue is more putting students online rather than encouraging them to be independent learners, being curious, the learning opportunities in their local community.
Yeah.
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 I guess the quarrels will be,
But, like, stop criticising the Liberal Party for their lockdown. You should be applauding them. Every single conservative person who values freedom should go, Stephen Marshall is a hero. He is a hero because of the number of times, and Stephen Wade, both moderates, by the way, for the way that they handled the lockdowns and maximised your freedom. And criticising them, you know what you've got now? You've got a Labour government. And if a Labour government, this Labour government was in place at the time of COVID, you would have been locked down a lot longer.
Who's Rosa Gonellis?
I don't know. Rosa Gonella, you can't join the live stream.
You don't want to chat to them?
No.
Well, they might have some decent questions.
Yeah, no. You've got enough questions. Let's get through them.
Old mate on the camera looking angry and sour.
Yeah, I am. Liberal. I am angry and sour because Alex Antic destabilised the Liberal Party when he should have been celebrating the freedom that they created better than every single other state in the country. We did so well. And, yeah, I know. Yeah, you're super passionate about it. But this is the facts. And so what you have now is a Labour government, and you have every single... Like, Albo is in charge as a result of this. Right? Albanese was put in charge because we lost the Liberal Party thing. And you know why Alex Antic wanted to get rid of Stephen Marshall and criticise him? Is because he probably wouldn't be a senator right now. Those are the real facts.
So, right, John Gardner did a great job providing clear information throughout lockdown, supporting local businesses and keeping kids' faces off socials. Well done, John. Because Liberal policies are old and outdated. So, right, Michelle.
What are the Liberal Party policies around COVID? There was none. There was literally a fundamental principle that people should be as free as possible.
Actually, and to defend Henry's point, when, yes, maybe the Liberals spearheaded, let's say, whatever, the lockdowns and the stuff in terms of how they reacted in the state, but it was the Labour Party, Peter Malinauskas' government, when they took control, the first week they took control, the first thing they did was made the emergency powers permanent. That was the Labour government, not the Liberal government. The Liberal government had all this opportunity to make the permanent powers permanent, but they never did. In those 3 years.
And we can talk about, like, so someone's saying here, the country has answered almost every single state is Labour government. And that is because the Liberal Party fractured from within. You had wolves in sheep's clothing attacking and destroying all the sheepdogs that were protecting the herd.
Yeah.
And now we have a Labour government because people turned our base against us. And we can get into that in a second.
Okay, so ballooning debt and fiscal discipline is my next kind of question. So under Menzies, Liberals preached responsible economic management and warned against governments living beyond their means. Yet from 2013 to 2022, Liberal governments grew gross national debts from $273 billion to over $1 trillion. The 2020-21 budget alone had a record of $213.7 billion deficit. After nearly a decade in power, why couldn't the Liberal Party deliver even one surplus? And what does that say about the commitments to conservative economics?
Okay, so this debt is not as scary as you think it is. And what happens is it's basically the government borrowing money from the private sector, right? That's what debt is the private sector giving more money to the the government giving more money to the private sector during a certain period of time. Most debts in this country have only been paid off not by surpluses. Surpluses do not deliver debts, despite what Tony Abbott claimed. He ran a very effective campaign on that. Surpluses don't deliver and pay down debts.
Cass is about to throw hands, so right. He is.
So I'm really annoyed. Now look, when you shut down an entire country, and Melbourne, which is a major economic centre, this was a Labor decision. When the Labor Party decides to shut down a state for 263 days, no commerce, no nothing, well, then the government needs to step in and make sure that we don't go into a huge recession. That's exactly what the Liberal Party has done. It doesn't mean that their economic management is unreasonable, but you've got to remember, why did we only have that certain amount of debt? We have one of the lowest debt levels in the world before COVID, and that's a result of the Liberal Party's economic management, because we believe in having a not taking and spending more than is long-term financially viable. So the reason why they can go into that amount of debt and only suffer this amount of inflation was because of that. And they had the capacity to do that.
Remember, guys, if you have questions, please feel free to ask Henry any questions you want. He's here to talk on behalf. Small businesses going down the toilet, let's be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, and they are right now. We can talk about why that is. But it's under a Labor Party government that small businesses, that your real wage growth has declined so significantly.
Yeah. Okay, let's go about moral and cultural trait. This is a big one. So Menzies championed Western civilization and Christian ethics as the moral backbone of Australian society. But in recent years, so the last 20 years, the party has been silent, if not hostile, towards defending these values.
No, it hasn't.
When Catherine Devies, I can't say name, spoke out on women's sport and gender ideology in 2022, she was disowned by senior Liberals like Simon Birmingham. Has the Liberal Party lost their moral courage? Has the Liberal Party lost the moral courage Menzies once saw as essential?
Yeah. No. It's not just the Liberal Party is a cohesive, like it's a broad church. We need to have people like Simon Birmingham and Alex Antic fighting the same opposition. The Liberal Party started from 18 different parties, which were brought together by Menzies. These different parties weren't just all conservatives. There was the Women's Party, there was the Young Nationals, there was there was a Farmers Party, there was a whole bunch of other different parties, and they weren't just all conservatively based. All right. The thing that we recognized was socialism was an overarching bad that needed to be destroyed, and all of these different parties with all these different views, people like the Teals, things like that, environmentalists, needed to come together to destroy socialism and destroy communism. The Liberal Party has always struggled with this, and there's always these members within the party who just think that they should be hard right conservative the whole time. That has never been the case. And what we're seeing now as a result of that, and particularly a weakening of the Liberal Party, is that we're starting to fracture again. So the Teals have spun off. I believe that like people who champion feminist issues, they've spun off. So people like
the Greens
Chelsea
actually
Potter.
lost a bit of their primary vote this time around.
Only slightly.
Yeah, but still, it's not good. If you're trying to ground and you lose your leader.
If I was the Greens right now, I'd be extremely proud of what happened.
No, I've reanalyzed it. I don't think
don't
Greens should be
underestimate
happy.
your enemy. They're doing great.
They're doing great, but they're
doing
not
fantastic.
as well as they thought they would.
No, they did amazing. They did way better than they thought they would. They increased their primary vote.
No, they increased.
Just because they lost one seat because the Labor Party did so well.
They've lost 0.3% minus down their primary
0.3%. How much did the Liberal Party lose?
Yeah, I'm not talking
And
about
how much did the Labor Party gain?
Greens
the Greens lost nothing, right? The Greens lost nothing. They held their position. They'll hold their base. They hold their senators. They're still doing just fine.
So, a Liberal government often prioritises tax cuts for corporations or high income tax owners, which can reduce funding for essential public services. Number two, the economic policies frequently lead into... I mean, there's nothing... Oh, wait, she's about to write. The majority of preferences from independents went towards Labor vote. Let's talk about that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know why? It's because people from inside the party got all of... Like, people like Dr. Johanna Howe, people like George here, undermined, and all of these commentators who are normally liberals, who would normally support conservative values, attacked the party. From inside in. And if you're Dutton, you've got all these commentators all the way through who are meant to be supporting you, attacking you. That didn't happen for Anthony Albanese. I listened to his podcast. I can't remember who it was, but there was these two girls interviewed him. He was awesome, right? They were really friendly with him. They talked to him about it. And all these commentators with big following were able to support him. None of the supporters came out and supported Dutton on this. And Dutton had to fight his right flank, his left flank, and everything in between. And you had these commentators who were saying, do not vote for the Liberal Party, even though they'd voted for them forever. And so if you want the Greens and if you want Labor to win, attack the Liberal Party. And that's exactly what people like Dr. Johanna Howe did. She said, don't vote. And I saw her how to vote cards. She said, the Liberal Party doesn't support my policy, so don't vote for them. Okay. But now, you have a huge Labor government. So she attacked our donors. She attacked our volunteers. She attacked our word of mouth. And she told people who believe in these specific things not to vote for the Liberal Party. And that's what the result is a massive Labor landslide. Now Dr. Johanna Howe is now facing a Labor government, I think it's in Victoria.
Sydney.
In
New
Sydney?
South Wales, yeah. They
right?
don't push past the Greens
right?
bill.
Who feels so confident that they're going to destroy families even further. And that was her fault, right? She is responsible for this.
Yeah.
And now she's saying, we need to go more harder right conservative. And we'll talk about the supermarket game in why are the parties so close together in policy. There's a really good reason for it, a very good tactical reason, and we can quickly talk about it. But people like that who attacked the Liberal Party got everyone to turn against us. They're responsible for our loss in many ways.
You must prep right. The Liberals caused all this mess to begin with. I will never vote for them.
Yeah, exactly, right? So now you want Greens. So now you're voting for the Greens and Labor Party. Congratulations. If you don't vote for the Liberal Party, you're voting for Labor. And that's exactly what people did.
Yeah.
So if you love the Greens, vote for the Greens.
Yeah. And just to be clear, we never made any vote cards, by the way, the Adelaide set. We just let the election happen and we commentate after how we want the Liberal Party to be better. But I'm not sure about Joanna Howe and others.
Yeah, she did. She put out things saying don't vote for the Liberal Party.
Really?
Basically saying don't prioritise them. And so once people are gone, if they criticise them, Alex Antic was criticising the Liberal Party relentlessly all the way up until the campaign.
Was this on Sky and stuff or just
Yeah.
in general?
Yeah, he's saying we're not hard right enough, basically saying don't vote for us. But he's number one on the Senate ticket. So he had nothing to be afraid of.
Someone wrote, as voters become more concerned with social equality, climate change and integrity, the Liberal Party risks becoming more irrelevant within a decade. And then someone wrote, Abby Chatfield, slapface.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on People's First? Fundamental flaw of the right, principled and critical constitutions that will critique their own reps. The left will just jerk each other off no matter how wrong they are.
Yeah, you know what? Like the barbarian hordes in Gaul, it was their land, they were right to keep it. But a disciplined force, a disciplined united force led by Julius Caesar came in and tore them all apart. And so when we're not disciplined, when we don't stand together, this is what will happen. And you'll see more of this. So if the Liberal Party doesn't unite, and it's the 18 different parties, farmers, women, conservatives, all of these parties, young nationals, young people, we all need to come back together. And the Teals, right? People who are pro-climate change, all of these people need to come back together. Or yes, we will fracture again. And there'll be someone, hopefully, that will reunite. But in that time, Labor and the Greens will run roughshod. They'll put in place legislation that will make it difficult for anybody else to get elected, right?
Yep.
Which is why I don't agree with this whole getting rid of posters on things, the caps on spending for elections. They're reducing people's ability to run campaigns. And that's exactly what they're doing. The Liberal Party has walked straight into that trap, thinking that this was how they'll preserve themselves. But the Liberal Party will be eradicated if you don't ban behind them. And the result will be not one nation. It won't be one nation. It won't be a conservative party. It will just be Labor and the Greens because they are disciplined and well trained.
Guys, you're referring to Julius Caesar. Laugh face, laugh face, laugh face.
Yeah, I'm talking about an army of the barbarian hordes who were just misaligned small tribes and fighting themselves versus a strong and disciplined and well-armed and disciplined and well-led force that could come in with smaller numbers and destroy them. And that is exactly what the Labor Party and Greens are doing right now.
By the way, guys, are you guys hearing our sound? Is everything? I saw a comment saying that it's cutting out. Is it still good now? There's a perfect video display why the Liberals... This is a perfect video display why the Liberals are gone.
Yeah, it is. Because we've fractured internally.
Okay, so... Next question, net zero by 2050. In November 2021, Scott Morrison committed Australia to net zero emissions by 2050 at COP26. Without economic modelling and despite internal party division, Menzies was a fierce defender of Australian sovereignty and workers. Was this net zero pledge a decision made in national interest or concession to global institutions and pressure groups?
Yeah, a lot of people think that politicians are leaders, right? If you think that a politician is leader, you've probably never been in that position before. Politicians are followers, right? I believe in shepherd leadership. The shepherd sits at the end of the herd, behind the herd. One shepherd can't pull the direction of the entire herd in the way that the shepherd wants it to go. You always sit at the back of the herd and you're basically trying to keep everyone together. That's the role of a leader, is trying to keep everyone going the same direction. It's not this, hey, follow me, let's go, guys. That's not how it works. Now, the whole population, like it or not, believes in climate change. The whole population believes in this. Like maybe 20-30% of people who don't, sure, that's fine, but when the majority speaks, they speak loudly, and the Liberal Party needs to be a follower in terms of these policies, not the other way around. That's the problem, and that's the truth of it, because if you keep saying no, we're not going to do this, we're not going to agree with the majority, you're just going to lose.
But what about people saying climate change is a Marxist idea? Isn't our job to kind of combat that?
Debate has lost. Okay. The debate has lost. There is no debate anymore. There is no credible basis for you to say that climate change isn't real. You know what? You could be true. It could be right. Okay.
Yeah.
It could be right. It could be the fact that there is no such thing as climate change. It doesn't matter.
Human-made climate change. Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The debate has been won and it's been lost by the Liberal Party. Well, not really by the Liberal Party. We never said that there was denied climate change.
Yeah.
But young people today, we need their votes, right? The Liberal Party relied on more senior votes.
Does the
of
council
older people.
think Dutton's nuclear plan was a good idea?
Yeah, we can talk about that in a second.
Yep, keep going.
And we completely lost the ability to... Like, the debate's done. Okay.
By the way, according to stats, approximately 80% of Australians believe climate change is occurring. About 60 to 7% believe it's mainly caused by human activity, such as burning fossil fuels. Only around 10% or fewer believe climate change is not happening at all. And that's
done.
according to ChatGPT.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, ChatGPT. All right. I love ChatGPT. My new overlord. The debate is done on climate change. Climate change is happening. If any party wants to win, they must have climate change policies and they must commit to net zero. And I don't care whether you think it's true or not. That is just the reality of winning. Because the only thing that really matters, in many ways, is winning. Because it doesn't matter how good of a moral standpoint it is. It doesn't matter how right you are. You can die on that hill alone.
Yeah, but I mean, philosophically speaking, some people say you should stand for the thing, even if it's against the grain. Because
Right. Go do that, because there are minor parties for you who believe in that. But vote for the Liberal Party after that. Because if you don't believe in climate change, so if you're one of the 10% of Australians who don't believe in climate change, vote for the Liberal Party above the Labor Party and the Greens. Because the response from the Liberal Party will be a lot more responsible to achieve that than the Labor Party and the Greens. We are going this way, guys. We are going this way. It doesn't matter what you think. 90% of the population has spoken. We are going towards net zero. It's happening. How you get there depends on who you trust to take you there. Which shepherd do you want? Do you want the Labor and the Greens Party, or do you want the Liberal Party?
you must prep right. You guys need to examine what's going on in Germany in detail. Germany felt the pain and the people are fighting back. The AfD are destroying their version of the Liberals. So the AfD is kind of like the One Nation, but even more, bit more hardcore in Germany.
Then One
and
Nation
they're the second largest party in Germany.
One Nation will just become the Greens. I think that they'll take a... Well, look, I think the whole Liberal Party will fracture into minor parties. It'll fracture into the Teals. It'll fracture into One Nation. It'll fracture into Family First. There'll be a women's party that pops up. There'll be a whole bunch of independents, and they'll all fracture. In the meantime, they're going to support the Labor Party, but those voices will come back.
Yeah. So, Peter Dutton opposed the Voice federally, but Liberal leaders like Tasmania's Jeremy Rockcliffe backed it publicly. Menzies believed in equal rights for all, special privileges for none. How can the Liberal Party claim to uphold their principles when part of it supported a constitutional amendment dividing Australians by ancestry? So, in 2022, the federal election, the Voice proposal was not a major issue in the campaign. Dutton became Liberal leader after the election. This is a timeline. Mid-2022 to early 2023, Dutton did not take a clear position. He said the coalition was open-minded and wanted more detail. He repeatedly criticised the Albanese government for lack of transparency, but did not say no outright. January 2023, Dutton wrote to Anthony Albanese requesting more details about the Voice model, again positioning himself as cautious but not opposed. Then in April 2023, Dutton and the Liberal Party officially announced they would oppose the Voice to Parliament, citing concerns about division and lack of detail.
Yeah.
So, key quote from Dutton was, "The Voice will not unite the country, will permanently divide us." Peter Dutton official announcement. And that was like one of the biggest wins Peter Dutton had. So, I guess my question is, why is there so much
because
fracture?
He was a good leader. Because he acted. Because he listened. Right? He listened to what... People always criticise what the Liberal Party does. He listened to what people said. He heard them and said, hey, what are the bits of information that I need to tell you in order to convince you? I think he always believed that the Voice was bad, but he listened first, right? Because when the polls first came out, it was 60% in favour of it. And then it was just... Dutton didn't take the lead on it. It was Jacinta and Karen Little who took the lead on it, who are actually Indigenous and our first Australians, took the lead on it in Parliament. And they were the ones who then convinced people to go the other way. And so what Dutton did was listen first. He displayed shepherd leadership, which is very important. And he didn't do that in terms of nuclear.
And that was his biggest win, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big win.
They actually united Australia for the first time against Albanese.
Yeah, and then we completely lost it.
So, we could talk about media. So, failure to reform the ABC. Despite a $1.1 billion annual taxpayer budget, the ABC has consistently displayed bias against conservative values. Yet, from 2013 to 2022, the Liberal governments led by Tony Abbott, Malcolm Turnbull and Scott Morrison failed to defund or reform it. If the ABC doesn't reflect mainstream Australians, why did the Liberals allow it to grow under their watch?
Because I actually don't think... No, it didn't grow under their watch. Because in terms of inflation, I'm pretty sure they actually went backwards. So yeah, it might have had more money, but if money goes up, it has less value. $100 today, tomorrow it's worth only $95, right? So my understanding is that they didn't let it to grow. But the other thing is people love the ABC. They're like, I listen to the ABC radio all the time, every morning going to work, right? And 5AA. So I listen to both of those radio stations. I love Doctor Who. I love ABC Kids. ABC
I blocked them
is loved
because they try to
by
destroy my
Australians.
platform.
And getting rid of something that people love is just not good policy.
They try to the copyright strike me on the Adelaide set, which is really it's basically the equivalent of like punching someone in the face, and like no one really does it unless like severely like it's worthwhile. And
People love the ABC.
Well, I don't like them. I blocked them.
I love the ABC.
Try to destroy me, the bastards.
Yeah, I like the ABC.
ABC Adelaide, fuck you.
And it's going to be highly. You're just going to lose an election if your policies are going to get rid of the ABC. You're just going to lose.
I guess the more issue is like why are they so lefty? Why is the ABC so lefty? Like why we allow that to happen? Why doesn't it display a neutral, balanced, like kind of? I mean, you can say the same problem in the UK with the BBC. It's not like it's not an Australian unique. It's not Australian unique. It's happening all across the world. I mean. Yeah. Okay, so the bloated bureaucracy, the federal public service grew from 167,596 employees in 2013 to over 180,000 by 2022. That's under a party supposedly committed to small government cutting red tape. Menzies warned against the dangers of centralised bureaucracy. Why has the Liberal Party become so comfortable with managing rather than reducing the size of the state?
Yeah, that's just a rubbish question. Going from 167 by 10,000, right, in 9 years. That's what you're saying. It went from 167,000 to 180,000 in 9 years. Damn, that's a good job.
You think that's a good job?
Yes, because population increased way more than that. So per capita bureaucrats under the Liberal Party were less. I would suggest over 9 years what the per capita growth was in Australia is far less than what you got there. So congratulations to the Liberal Party for keeping small government.
Okay, last question. Corporate favoritism over the forgotten people. During the pandemic, large corporations like Harvey Norman received JobKeeper despite recording profits, and many refused to return taxpayers' funds. Meanwhile, small business owners were crushed by lockdowns. Menzies found the party to represent the forgotten people, small business owners and families. Has the modern Liberal Party sold out those people in favour of corporate
I don't think they were crushed.
And also, like things like property tax, like land tax and stuff.
I'm a tax lawyer. They weren't crushed, right? And the ATO didn't go and enforce. Like the ATO pulled all of their enforcement. From like ATO debts. They pulled all of that and they did not crush small business. They actually did a really good job in supporting them and making sure they kept all their employees. They didn't just fire everyone. They said, you're going to get money through your employer through this way so that you basically keep them on the thing. Yeah, like Harvey Norman. I mean, they're shareholders. So a lot of people rely on the shareholding price. Like, do you want the entire ASX to crush? They kind of basically said, hey, look, we're going to maintain the status quo of the ASX and make sure it doesn't crash too much, so that they don't go into receivership. Because Harvey Norman could have gone into receivership. Then what happens to our economy? So yeah, these people these large companies need to continue to deliver profits because they're owned by the Australian people. And you know what? The government can raise taxes at any time and repay that debt, and they get the money back from people. And back from Harvey Norman, back from these people. So, but that's not what the Liberal Party would do. They would try and grow it. But it's not that unreasonable what they did. I think they did actually very well in dealing with small businesses, keeping them alive. They reduced the entire thing. There was no bankruptcies, no liquidations by the ATO during that time. And they're the biggest liquidator. And I've seen it.
So
and
Sole Trader's got nothing. So.
Now they're doing it. Under Labor, they're starting to go and bankrupt all these small companies.
Okay, so before I let you go... One, I want to ask the audience, this is an opportunity for you to ask more questions to get Henry's perspective about Liberals' future and the shakedown. Before I let you go, I want to ask you, what does the future look like for Australian politics now with Labor in rule? What can we expect to see?
It's going to get harder. Your life is going to get harder. Real wages growth under the Labor Party went backwards. That's why you feel poor. And somehow the Liberal Party got the blame for that. Somehow the Liberal Party got the blame for real wages going backwards. And this idea that we should run off to the right and support the right more than anything else is absolutely insane. Because it doesn't remember what Menzies did at all. There's no reflection on what Menzies was. Menzies said, these 18 parties who all have different philosophies, different principles, different outcomes, we need to come together to defeat a greater enemy. And that enemy is now running the show. They are in charge. And the Liberal Party is going to continue to fracture.
Dutton's nuclear plan. We've got to go back to that.
Oh. Yeah, how stupid was that, right? And you know what it was? Like, I go to all these Liberal Party functions. People who don't know about nuclear, who have no idea about nuclear, start prattling off on it, and then just saying, we need nuclear, we need nuclear, we need nuclear. Yeah, it sounds like a good idea. But the reality is that the Liberal Party were completely unprepared to have this fight on nuclear. What they should have said was, we don't support nuclear, we're not going to implement it. However, we're going to let the market decide. And if a nuclear company can come to us and say, hey, if we build these nuclear power plants, they should have deregulated for it and let it happen, but not made it this major policy. Now, a lot of people think that...
Yeah, I reckon deregulation would have been the way, because you don't have to enforce something. No one wants to be enforced.
Make it happen.
Just allow it to take the tape off and let the free market decide.
Yeah. Now, look, the issue is that nuclear's a long way away, and the Liberal Party did not have the warriors, and it should have had over the last 3 years to mount this argument.
Yeah, we should have 5 professional academics who are ready to freaking go. Advertise them, social media. It could have gone so differently.
Now have a think, right? Dutton is an extremely intelligent person, right? All of the leaders of industry...
extremely bold person?
Intelligent.
Oh, he's extremely bold though as well.
Shut up.
Sorry.
Shut up. It's got a teacher. Leave him alone.
It's funny.
Just because we've got luscious locks.
I know. We're so blessed.
Dutton is not an idiot. The entire Liberal Party is not an idiot. All of their staffers, which are there, they've got 300 staffers. They have been running campaigns for so long. And I even told Angus Taylor at a dinner, I sat next to him and I said, the CSIRO says that your plan on nuclear is crap. And he went, yeah, but that guy's a socialist. And I'm like, okay, where's your scientist? He went, oh, yeah, I should probably get one, hey.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'll go get one.
They're out there. I've talked to them literally when I was working at One Nation.
But why didn't they put them forward?
And they're really smart and intelligent. They're really charismatic.
So why did all these smart people in the Liberal Party, why did all these scientists, why did all these people not come forward and defend it?
We didn't. Well, apparently they get nothing. I was talking to them. They get nothing. They get no love at all. Every time they reach out, they just get told to shut the fuck up, basically.
So, and why do you think they did that?
The Liberal Party?
Assume they're really, really smart.
I think they're just lazy.
No, assume they're not lazy. Assume they're really, really smart. Mm-hmm. Don't just say, it's just because they're dumb. It's because probably the debate was unwinnable.
No, these guys had literally, they had very compelling arguments, super charismatic, great orators. They just weren't communicated with. There was no connection. There was no bridge for them to
Why weren't they on Instagram?
They're just old. These guys are old professors. They have no idea what Instagram is. They're just having a Teams meeting.
So why do you think that the Liberal Party didn't assume that they're smart? Why didn't they?
We should have set up Liberal Party has the capabilities and facilities.
It's because they knew they would lose.
No. We have the capabilities to set up cameras and interview them and make them stars.
They knew they would lose.
No, we don't know that. We never even tried it. That's what I'm saying. We never even tested it.
They weren't there.
They were there. They just don't get communicated with. We just ignore them. They're in silence. I'm telling you, I literally have chats with them for work. And they were saying
So then why don't you have them on your show?
Well, right now I'm not really invested in terms of politics.
So then you go. So the Liberal Party
but I can
was
now,
not. The Liberal Party was not, as a whole, willing to have this fight and push this debate.
Well, I was willing to chat with them. We did chat to them, but that was with One Nation, not with Liberals. And obviously One Nation doesn't have much power.
They're intelligent.
And don't have the resources.
They're intelligent. Assume that the Liberal Party knew this, they knew the state of play, and they decided not to run nuclear because it would be even worse for them. They're not stupid. They've run hundreds of these campaigns. They're all self-interested. They all want to get re-elected, right? All of the staffers there want to get re-elected. Why didn't they run it? Probably because they were going to lose this debate and they knew it.
No, I literally think...
What, you just think that all these people just didn't care and they just
No,
lost their
just
jobs?
from all the research I've done, it'd been such an easy win. There's so much great content and you could have been made out of it. There's so many great countries around the world who are doing it so well, who have extreme higher levels of economics, technological advantages, and all these things that make them so great thing is and powerful. And
when it was coal, 100% coal, no renewables, that's when these countries invested in it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the country... So in South Australia, 50% of our wind generation is... 50% of our power comes from wind.
Yeah.
25% comes from solar, and about the rest of it comes from gas. Very expensive.
Gas. I guess.
If you want to build a nuclear power station in South Australia, it's only going to supply 25% of the grid. Right?
Yeah, that's good though. We need an extra 25%. Fantastic.
In the meantime, they're going to build batteries.
Yeah.
They're going to try and phase out gas. So in the next 15 years, where do you think South Australia will be?
I'm going to sign off and cook some breakfast with eggs I bought for $9.
Oh yeah, I've got chicken, so...
Yeah, guys, by the way, easy.
You know how many
if you guys want
$0 for eggs,
go to My Pet or My Vet, whatever it's called. You can buy 7 chickens, it'll cost you $40, and you've got an unlimited supply of eggs.
That's pretty good, actually.
Unlimited supply.
I produce around $3,000 worth of eggs a year, and it costs me about $1,000 a year in feed.
When I was living in my mansion in Aldgate, I was teeming with eggs. I was having eggs dropped from the sidelines and cracking on the ground.
Oh, yeah.
So many eggs. I could have given you my eggs, guys. Not my eggs, but my eggs, if you know what I mean.
Don't make it weird.
Okay, so what's your plan? Like, if you had a magic wand and you could tell the Liberal Party exactly what to do right now to fix all the problems, what would you do?
I would tell Alex Antic,
Yep.
Joanna Howe, right now you are responsible
Okay.
for this loss. You are responsible for the loss, and look what you have done. And if I had a magic wand, it would be for those people like them, and these ultra-right, so there's a whole bunch of evangelical Pentecostal people who have just signed up to the Liberal Party en masse. I would explain to them and make them understand what the supermarket game is, and why parties pitch to the middle and why they're so similar, and try and encourage them to say, no, the Liberal Party's values are come to the centre, but we are founded in these conservative values, and that's the only way we win. And it would be to understand them and ask those people not to be self-interested and think about the greater electability of the Liberal Party, not just attacking them, because we are attacking ourselves right now. People like Alex Antic attack the Liberal Party, they undermine Stephen Marshall, and it's self-interest.
So why now have you decided to step up and say something?
Because I would have been the destructive person.
Yeah.
If I had have criticised the Liberal Party coming up to it, and I kind of started to criticise Alex Antic, but as we came up to this election, right, it would be that would just be destructive, and I would just hurt it more. I'd just be doing the thing that they did.
Someone's saying they kind of said something about Peter Dutton. You guys want to talk about Dutton is the worst candidate the Liberals have ever run? Why don't you talk about that? And how you actually need a personality and some level of charisma for people to
think
like
about
you.
this. Yeah, I get it, but think about this. Like, there are very self-interested Liberals in the Federal Party,
To be honest,
who all thought he was the best person, and these are very smart, politically minded. They've been staffers forever, and went, you know what, this is the guy who can do the best job for us, and they made that decision.
Sometimes smartness, intelligence doesn't equate to wisdom.
Yeah, but have a look at some of the candidates.
Like, honestly,
that they've run.
I honestly think Liberals only lost because we had such an ugly, uncharismatic leader. That's all I think it was. If we actually had someone who was young, decent looking, charismatic, could speak well, was connectable,
Maybe.
yeah, that would have carried so much more weight.
Sure, but yes, but you know what? People like me, someone like Alex Antic, right, is going to make sure and do everything that he can to make sure I don't get into Parliament.
Yeah.
Because he can't. Because I will challenge. Right. This is the problems. Is the Liberal Party at the moment, because it's so weak in membership. It's so weak in membership, and it's so faithful, based on religions, based on Alex Antic, based on a couple of policies. They're so faithful, and these are the true Liberals of the Liberal Party, are being told to vote for bad candidates, and so all of a sudden, you have bad politicians who are weak and who aren't charismatic. And they put in weak-minded people who don't have money, who don't have charisma, who won't push back, and who will be loyal and dedicated. Now, Zane Basic, for example, he's the president of Boothby, not Mayo. He ran for Mayo. And he was a staffer for Nicole Flint for years and years and years, and he was well connected with Alex Antic. So they put in a staffer, a political staffer, not someone who's
Sounds like
independent.
Liberals are living in an echo chamber.
Yeah, they are living in an echo chamber. And what they're not putting in their A team, right? They're not putting in the A team. They're putting in C, D compliant people who will just do what they're told, right? We need Simon Birmingham's. Okay, we need people who will stand on their own 2 feet and disagree with each other, because that's how we're strong as a Liberal Party.
So what's Simon Birmingham's... Like, when I listen to Simon Birmingham, I just think this guy's just a shill, like a communistic shill. Like, he gives me
He's
that
not a
vibe.
communist. He's not a communist. He's
not a communist?
He's moderate. He's centrist.
Why is he so, like, into LGBTQ
and he's much closer
and stuff like that? Like,
because that's what he believes.
Yeah, but why? Like, how?
And that's why we need him in the party.
Like a gay son or something like that, or like what?
No, I just think that he believes that their personal freedoms should be facilitated.
Someone says we need Alex Antic. Oh, Joel, if you're available right now, I would love for you to come on and debate Henry on some topics, because it would be really good to get your perspective on things.
Yeah, Alex Antic disappeared. Yeah, Ollie, you are right. Alex Antic completely disappeared, and he will not run for a lower seat. He will not put himself on the line. And you know what he also does? He shuts down debate.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his comments. If you want to go to after this, you can criticize me. You can call me any name under the sun. Go for it. And I encourage you to do that. Hold me to account. Tell me why I'm wrong. Alex Antic does not do that. He hides from the Liberal Party. He doesn't come to any events. He doesn't speak to members who are out there. He doesn't face
His
any
comments are
criticism,
turned off.
and he turns off his comments and he hides. And so he lives in an echo chamber because his ideas are so fragile.
I mean, people could argue the reason he's done that is to protect himself because he's such a threat to the system.
You know what? Come attack me. You know what? Come on my Instagram, come on my Facebook, have a discussion with me. Right? If I'm wrong in anything I've said, have a discussion with me because that is the only way that I'm going to go stronger and I'm going to correct my views. If I hide, if I turn off my comments, if I don't come on live things with the Adelaide set, if I don't put myself out there with these views, that is weakness. And that is exactly what's happened. And he's hidden because he knows that he won't stand up. And he knows that Nicole Flint won't get elected. And they knew in Boothby who they were up against, right? They knew that what views that she's a massive supporter of Alex Antic, and she lost as a result of it.
Looks like Joel Jammer said, can't jump right now, but about to film. Happy to chat another time. So, I mean, if you're up for debating Joel Jammer on these topics, I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'll facilitate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what's going to happen now? What's next?
And can I say, Joanna Howe, she has a really important
also,
issue.
we want to give Joanna Howe, I would like to have her respond to this, because this is the first time I'm hearing this.
I'm so critical of her.
Okay.
Right? Because she didn't lead an idea with people. What she did was run after politicians, Labor and Liberal, and attacked them. Right? She attacked them, and any person who's watching that behaviour is going to go, I don't want to express a contrary view. I don't even want to ask a question because I'm going to get attacked straight away. Now, Dennis Hood, right? Dennis Hood is, and I think he came from Family First. He is the most conservative person that I know. He's honourable. He's a good man. And he strongly supported Joanna Howe's position. And when he did the honourable thing, she turned on him and attacked him. Right? She attacked the guy who was the biggest supporter of her cause over anyone else. Now, anyone else in the parliament, right? Ben Hood, Vincent Tasia, all of these local leaders and all around the country are going to go, hey, can we trust Joanna Howe to respect our autonomy? Can we have an informed debate, or is she going to pull out the guns and start attacking us? And she attacked Dennis Hood as soon as he did the honourable thing with this pair situation. And look at Jing Lee. Jing Lee voted for the bill, and she got attacked regardless. And Alex Antic went to an evangelical church and celebrated her leaving the party. So we find these people, and Jing Lee is such a massive connector for multicultural communities for the Liberal Party. She is a linchpin for the Liberal Party in multicultural communities. And they celebrated her leaving her, saying Alex Antic celebrated her leaving, saying this is a massive win for the party. And now there's less moderates in the party. What a stupid thing to do. What a stupid and childish thing to do. And that is the most divisive thing you can do. So Joanna Howe, the way that she didn't convince people by debate, by explaining it, it was this level of intensity and aggression that most people backed away from it. And then she attacked the Liberal Party. She attacked the Conservative Party and tore votes off them. And she tore donors. She tore volunteers. She tore supporters off them. And that is what made the Liberal Party vulnerable. Not just her, but everyone across the board. George?
Yep.
You attacked them on COVID. I get it. You criticise them. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But so many people turned away from the Liberal Party, didn't volunteer, and they weren't passionate about the cause. And you know what?
We were attacking everyone, but Liberals and Labor, though. We were attacking both parties.
I know, but
we were going after everyone.
Who was in Labor? Who was in Liberals' camp? Who were these big social media influencers that were really supporting the Liberal Party?
Wait, say it again, sorry. Labor Party?
No, Liberal Party. There's hundreds of people. All these social media influencers were supporting the Labor Party. There was nobody left to talk to people like you on Instagram different things.
We criticised pretty level-headedly. We criticised the mandates.
But who was that? What I'm saying is who supported the Liberal Party?
But the way Nikolai was treated was pretty poor. So there was things
who
behind
supported
the
the
scenes.
Liberal Party?
I mean,
nobody. They were on their own.
It was a very historical event, a once in a lifetime kind of event. It was for any government. I think every major government around the world basically lost besides DeSantis in Florida. Trump lost that year. A lot of people got destroyed. The pandemic really shifted everything upside down.
I'm talking this year and the last thing. There was no commentators out there And look, this is not your fault.
No, I'm just saying the pandemic. I'm saying during the pandemic, almost every major
So why weren't we
lost their
celebrate?
seat.
Why weren't we celebrating all the state governments like Stephen Marshall? Why wasn't every single political commentator who was like Sky News saying Stephen Marshall is a god amongst men because he delivered the shortest and lowest amount of lockdowns with the least restrictions? Look at the Labor Party in Victoria. Look at the Liberal Party in South Australia. Which one would you prefer? Support the Liberal Party. And Sky News doesn't talk to the Labor Party, right? They talk to our followers. They talk to the Liberal Party people, right?
Yeah.
And they undermined Liberal Party followers for their own leader.
You know what I'm starting to realise now from hearing you speak is maybe people, the Australian people, haven't accepted the fact that the war has already lost, globalism has already won, and the battle was over. And all that can happen right now is the Libs are trying their best to try and show as much resistance as they can, but they can't overstep it because they'll just get crushed.
And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Dutton went, hey, you know, there's a lot of support for Trump right now.
Yeah.
Before he got elected, started pushing a couple of Trumpian policies.
Shit ones, but he did a terrible job. I could.
Oh,
I'm
no,
going to do a whole breakdown on that.
But he backed away so quickly because of the response.
Yeah, but the way he did it was like he was like he was full spastic, and I don't know what the hell he was thinking.
Yeah, but if you go into a fire and it starts burning you,
if you're gonna go down Trump's way, you have to go full, and you can't go half. It's not a flippant thing. You have to go.
I get it.
There's no point even going there. If I was to advise, I'd say don't do this unless you're fully commit to it. You have to fully commit. Don't half-ass this. If you half-ass this, you will lose the election.
Right.
I would have said
that was a misstep.
Yeah,
because he's so popular, and you got to remember that all these conservative people behind him within the party say we love Trump, we love Trump, we love Trump. You should push this on the federal campaign because everyone will love you. And he went, oh, okay, well, let's try. Oh, God, no, that's a terrible...
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
And went, absolutely not.
Yeah, he should not... If he went full, then if he started attacking the ABC, Channel 7, Channel 10, did the whole, like, Trump did it properly...
He would have lost even further.
No, that would have been amazing. I would have voted for him 100%. I would have voted for him.
Yes, you would have voted for him, but everyone else would not have.
What do you mean? Of course he would. The MAGA movement is the biggest political shift in history.
No.
Democrats are on 28%. It's the lowest ever.
How many votes did Trump get? What percentage of the American vote did Trump get?
It was the biggest popular vote ever.
What percentage of the American vote did Trump get?
Like, it doesn't matter. It's like 20...
What percentage of the American vote did Trump get?
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. What percentage did he get?
I'm telling you right now.
What percentage did he get?
You have to look at the stats as they are relatively.
Tell me. Do you know what it is?
It's
like
22%. Yeah, which is enough.
It's 22%.
Which is all you need in America. Which is all you need.
And in America, that's a landslide. In Australia, how much percentage of the vote do we need?
300.
How many percent of the vote do you need?
Millions and millions of more people.
How many do you need?
You need 51%.
You need 51%.
Yeah, but
there is a big difference.
I'm just saying,
galvanizing
you have to talk relative
the
to
fringe,
America, right?
Galvanizing 22% makes you president.
20%
in Australia, you don't
5%
win.
5% is the fringe. 20% is considered in philosophy the majority now.
No, it's not.
In terms of
it's
numbers.
51%.
Like, you only
in terms of numbers, it's half.
All the psychology. You only need 15% of the world of your population's like approval to win an election.
If we had voluntary voting in Australia, that might work.
Yeah, if we had voluntary vote, but I'm just saying
we do not.
But people do. We have. It's called dog votes. You can just go and not make a vote. I got heaps of friends who do that.
People once they get in the it's sure, heaps of friends. It's like 2% of the population.
Australia's participation is 77%.
No, yeah, but that's because you have children and people who are ineligible to vote. It was actually 98% of people are enrolled to vote and would have gone and voted.
Anyways, my point is being, though, that Democrats have the lowest approval rates in their history. Not because of the fringe, just because generally people are really upset with the Democrats. And
the Democrats have never had...
Albo won with 20 to 25% of participants over eligible voters.
What?
Albo won with 20 to 25% of participation of eligible voters.
No.
I mean, Joel's pretty good with this stuff. He would be checking everything.
No, Joel, you come fact check me. Message me privately, but I don't believe that at all.
Well, no, I want you guys to debate.
He had like 100,000. Like hundreds of thousands, like 130,000 people. The number of informal votes was like 2%. So no, it was like a majority of people. Like 45% of people were voting for them. And then if you look at the second preferences from the Greens,
he wrote yes.
He got like 60%.
Wait, so what's the question? I want to ask.
The number of like preference votes that Labor got was like well over 60%.
Did Albo win with 20 to 25%? Precipitate. What is it? Can't even spell these days. It's my passage. Election.
Anyway, let's look this up later. Total for all divisions 18 million.
A chat for another time, yes.
Yeah, send me the figures and I'll eat my hat. Okay. But you know what? Can I say something? Like there's
Yeah.
this old adage, right? There's this old adage which talks about the story, and it was a military guy who talked about sheepdogs, and wolves.
34%. Okay, apparently.
That's primary vote, dude. Anyway,
The 18
not
million
not
doesn't
not
include those
take
two
into account
directions.
take into account your second preferences. That all came through the Labor, and we have a preferential system here. So primary vote of that much, I agree, but preferences way more. Clearly a majority.
Yeah, yeah.
There's this old story about
Not me though. I didn't vote Labour.
about the sheepdogs and the wolves.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a speech given by a military general in America. The sheepdog's job is to protect the sheep from the wolves. They feel it innately. They want to do that. They always want to stand there. They want to protect them. It's their job. They feel this is an important thing to do, right? And when the sheep are constantly getting attacked by the wolves, the sheepdog are treated like heroes, right? But if you're the wolves and you're sitting there and you say, hey, these sheepdogs are just destroying us, right? They're destroying us. What should we do? The wolves back off. They stop attacking the herd. They step away, right? And then the sheep start to have generations. They have more kids, and the wolves hold back. They get hungry. They go out into the woods and they hide from the sheep. And then the sheep, each generation, a lamb says to their father, hey, these sheepdogs, why do we need them? And then their father, the father says to the little lamb, hey, look, little lamb, no, there's these really bad things. There's these things called wolves, and they'll come and attack us.
Hey Drew, we got someone that I think you will like. He's saying that why the Liberals lost is because they weren't moderate enough. Basically, is that right?
I really want to go quickly into the supermarket game with you
Okay.
as well as this. But
Let's do it.
what happened was that the little lamb says to their father, I've never seen this wolf. Can you describe them? Oh, yeah. Well, they have teeth. They have big fluffy tails, pointed ears. They eat meat and they bark. And the little lamb goes, Dad, that's the sheepdog. And the dad says, no, that's not the sheepdog. No. We don't attack the sheepdogs. They're here to protect us. But I saw them eat a sheep every now and again. Yeah, I know. However, they're here to protect us because every time they do, sometimes they hurt us, sometimes they bite our ankles, but they're trying to keep us all together, and
Sometimes
they
they
generally
even
believe
die.
it. Sometimes they even kill us and eat us.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, they're here to protect us, and I've seen what the wolves can do. And then the father passes away. And then the little lamb and his little mates get together, and they say, no, they're the bad guys. I saw. And all the wolves are waiting in the forest. Do they come out and start attacking? No, they wait, right? They wait. And the lambs go, you know what? There's thousands of us and only a few of them. What we should do is kill all the sheepdogs because they're the bad people. They're the ones, they nipped us at our heels once. They put us into a 14-day lockdown. They're terrible. Let's kill them. And so the sheep turn on the sheepdogs and batter and bruise them and kill them. And all the young pups, all the new elected members who have just got into the parliament, they kill all of them as well because they're not as strong as the others.
Yeah.
And the wolves watch all this happen. And then the wolves attack. And there's no sheepdog pretending you. And the wolves go through and slaughter all the sheep. And the sheepdogs try to come back, right?
Yeah.
The sheepdogs try to come back and say, look, we know you've just attacked us. We want to help you. And what does a little lamb say? In his pride says, no, we didn't. The problem was we didn't kill enough sheepdogs. We didn't kill enough of you. And you know what? There are people in the sheep, like those sheep, there are wolves in the sheep community. Right? The wolves don't kill the lamb that's sounding the alarm and trying to kill all the sheepdogs, right?
Yeah.
So the wolves want the sheep to continue to turn against the sheepdogs because then the wolves get fat and they enjoy themselves and they keep killing the sheep. And that is exactly what's happened with the Liberal Party.
Okay, this is perfect then, what you just said.
The
right?
little lamb is Alex Antic, who has said that the Liberal Party, who has been keeping the Labor Party at bay this entire time, and the more senior people like Dutton, who's very conservative, all these conservatives have been keeping the Labor Party at bay and protecting us against the wolves. And Alex Antic says, no, you're not one of us. You're not a sheep. You attack us. You bit us. You did the wrong thing once. Get rid of all the sheepdogs. Well, Alex Antic will see 9 years of Labor. 9 years of Labor, and the wolves will have their fill.
Okay, so this is what I think the situation is. Okay, I like that analogy, right? And that story. What happens... This is what I think happened, actually. And pandemic was a great example, because during the pandemic, we saw digital ID being pushed by Liberals. All these things are really, very, very... And, I did a poll. 80-something-5% said this is bad. Why the Liberals do this? What happens in this time, the sheep farmer got a dog who lost the plot, and this dog was a murderer and wanted to kill the sheep. And the little lamb has seen this murderous dog that was like rogue. It should never have happened, but it did happen.
Okay.
And then by then the farmer realized, oh fuck, this dog's crazy, and shoots the dog, kills the dog.
It's not 85%. Did the Labor Party lose the election over digital ID?
No, but do you have my analogy? But then, so there's an impression left, and now the sheep will always think in the back of their mind,
Yeah, the sheepdog's back.
Can we ever trust the sheepdogs again?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I think has happened.
Absolutely. Every now and again, the sheepdog eats a sheep.
Yeah, no, there's one sheepdog that went away and just started fucking sheep up, like massacring them, like freedom of speech gone, digital ID, under 16, over 16 verifications, like really hardcore policies that go very against the freedom, like
yeah, but you know,
freedom is.
Yeah.
Like very bad dog. Like what do we do about that?
You kill all the sheepdogs, and then the wolves will eat you alive.
Yeah, no, we get that, but I'm saying, I think that objectively that's what's happened, and that's why there's a mistrust with the sheepdogs now.
I think they got nipped.
No, I think it was no.
And you know what?
Catastrophic.
This comes back to this follower situation. Our politicians are not leaders; they follow, they listen.
Yeah,
I can tell you.
But that's what I mean. The NGOs.
You know what the worst thing is when politicians are about to get kicked out of office, and this is their last term. Mm-hmm. Okay, that is when a politician becomes extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, because Rob Lucas, and I'm very critical of him, he wasn't going to run for re-election again, and he thought, you know what? I'm just going to introduce land tax changes because I'm gonna hurt the wolves permanently. Screwed everyone. Terrible law. When politicians are not afraid of losing their seats anymore, they go off the rails. So when you talk about sheepdogs that go off the rails, that's exactly what happened, is when they're about to die, basically. When they're at the end of their life and they can do whatever they want, they lose that sense of who they're looking after because they don't care anymore, and they'll do what they think is right. A politician who does what they think is right is a bad politician. Yeah. Right? Someone who's not afraid of losing their seat, you don't want them as a politician.
Yeah. It's like any position of power, especially kings. Historically, you always see, like Marcus Aurelius' son, who went insane and just did crazy stuff. What was his name?
It's when they don't care. About winning.
I guess that's how I would paint the picture. So
Can we go through this share market game thing? Can I draw this for you?
We're about to hit an hour. Can we do it another time?
We can just do it on this camera. Okay, and live stream here, and I want to talk to you about this.
All right, guys, thank you so much. I'm gonna leave this video so you guys can watch it after. But thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, and I invite Antic, I invite Joanna Howe to make a response, or I would like to see these guys debate actually for the
Alex Antic, open your comments first.
For the good of the nation. I don't think Alex will come to the party, but I think Joanna will be willing to actually have a chat with you. And that would be very interesting. I'm happy to facilitate a debate. I'll film it all. We'll set it up, but Henry seems to believe that all this abortion stuff is your fault, basically.
It's her fault that she's strengthened the Labor and Greens party because she didn't put it in a way that was persuasive. And she attacked the Liberal Party, undermined their values. And said, you don't stand for these values, when they're like, oh, we kind of do. And like Dennis Hood, he's the most conservative in the entire parliament. Do not attack him. He is your best friend.
Yeah, we'll have a chat about that.
Bye.
See ya.